And welcome back to Coaching with the Bible. I hope everyone had a great week. This is episode 125. That is correct, 125, season 3, episode 16. Our portion of the week is known as Bishalach. Our topic of the week, on singing. Spent a part of the week in Chicago, Illinois this week at a conference. It was ripping cold there, so I'm glad to be home. But I'm home in rainy weather. But I was not ready for the cold, and I'm not used to the cold. And I'm glad I don't have to experience that kind of cold on a regular basis. So I'm glad to be home. I'm glad to have this opportunity to talk to you about this subject of singing and of song on the week that is known as the Sabbath of Song. In the Jewish community, the reading of this week's portion includes the Song of the Sea. The people of Israel having survived the splitting of the sea, the Egyptians being destroyed in the sea, and the subsequent song that the people sing, that is the focus of it here. And this may not be something that you know about me, but it's a fact about me that I do love to sing. And for a certain period of time, I think in our house, it very much felt like our house was a musical. Again, not something I share readily out loud, but I always in my mind thought it was like an interesting sort of factoid about our household that we're always sort of singing something. There's always music playing, really in like the kitchen area. So on Friday, as we're preparing for the Sabbath, other times during the week in the kitchen, while I'm doing work, there's always music playing in the background. There's always a song playing. There's a playlist to be had for every mood. And truth be told, that I do very much love to sing. All kinds of songs. And some of them poorly. Now, it was a joke and a quote that I saw earlier in preparation for this, that I always hate it when the songwriter gets the words wrong. Truth is, I don't always know the words to every song, but I sing it as if I do, and I own it as if it's mine, even if the words are wrong. And the further sort of inspiration for this conversation today with you in episode 125 is that my family and I attended a concert last night here from an Israeli singer by the name of Hanan Ben Ari, who I guess for local taste is an Israeli rock star of sorts. I think that's what people might call him. He's a religious Jew, but his songs touch deep to the soul and to the core on a lot of different themes, using language and terminology that really hits a very personal, very deep, very soulful, spiritual level, in fact. And what sort of struck me was the fact that there were, I think, approximately 8,000 or more people in the arena from everywhere in the state of Israel, all walks of life in terms of religious affiliation, religiosity level, all singing every word to every song that this person put out there tonight. And it's a very powerful experience. If you've ever been to a concert, no matter the size of the room, 100 people, 200 people, 8,000 people, 70,000 people, whatever it is, you feel it. If the performer is quality, then you really experience something magical, almost otherworldly, powerful, impactful, significant, meaningful, even if, in some cases, it's not a type of music that you knew before or an artist that you necessarily know particularly well. Song has that power. When it comes to the case of the people of Israel standing at the sea, so we learn that upon their departure from Egypt, they don't sing. In Egypt, during the last plague, as the Egyptians are being destroyed, the people of Israel sitting to have the Paschal lamb, technically the first Seder experience, The text does not tell us that they sing. It only tells us that they sing after the Egyptians have been destroyed. It would seem to be obvious as to why. It seems to be that at this point, A, there's no going back, but B, perhaps there's the first real moments of freedom. The enemy has been destroyed. They've seen the enemy be destroyed in the water, and now maybe they're free. And so it's interesting on one level to appreciate how the song happens. Commentaries offer differing interpretations, explanations, visuals as to how this sort of sprung from the people. But it's clear that it's an emotional response to the experience. I even remember, just in my mind, from the Ten Commandments, which is, I think I've said this before, one of my top 2 or 3 all-time movies, and not necessarily because it's so biblical as it is sometimes so off and comical. But at the scene in that movie when the people do cross the sea, there is some sort of, I almost call it choral music that's playing, and it's effectively the idea that the people are singing this song. We don't know the tune of the Song of the Sea. We know the words of the Song of the Sea. If you've heard it read in a synagogue on a Sabbath morning, then you know the quote-unquote tune that is applied to it, that is part of tradition for centuries as to how it's to be read. And it is tradition to read it a certain way. It is tradition to stand when it is read. It's important. It has further importance in the fact that we say it every single day as part of the prayer services. It has sort of elevated out of the text of the 5 books of Moses, this week's portion in the book of Exodus, to a prayer that is said every single day of the week, every day of the year, every day of someone's life. Because it has that kind of meaning. It touches on some very powerful subjects. It talks about freedom. It talks about redemption. It talks about the future. It talks about what happens next to some degree. It talks about God. It talks about hope. It talks about faith. It's a sense of prayer and worship, the idea of deliverance, all kinds of power concepts, themes that are brought into that prayer, into that song. Can you imagine the scene? 2 million people singing the same exact song at the same exact moment. An exalted state of gratitude, gladness, appreciation, freedom. I mean, what a moment. On some level, almost a disappointment that it happens in the desert and the rest of the world doesn't hear it. But if you can close your eyes for just a minute and think of a concert that you've been to recently where you heard, again, like I did last night, 8,000 people, or you've been to a stadium concert of 70,000 or 80,000 people, just do the math on the numbers of people that are in the desert that day, the 7th day of the holiday of Passover, the people finishing the crossing of the sea, the Egyptians destroyed in the sea, and then the first thing they do is break out into song. There's a comment in the Midrashic literature that tells us the following, that it was the case that until this moment in time, no one had ever sung in the praise of God. And so the literature tells us the following. God created Adam, he didn't sing. God saved Abraham from the fires and from the kings, and he didn't sing. God saved Isaac from the sword, and he didn't sing. God saved Jacob from the angel, from his brother, from all kinds of other people, the people of Shechem, and he didn't sing. But once it was the case that the people came to the sea, and the sea was split, the Egyptians were destroyed, they began to sing the song. God then responded and said, It is for these that I have been waiting. In other words, the quote unquote, the sense, the spirit, the soul of what took place there is what God had been waiting for centuries. We know from other literature, other places in the Bible, and other places in the Talmud, to talk about other people who did or did not sing and how God reacted to those situations. One king who didn't sing on his being saved, King Hezekiah, the Talmud tells us, was supposed to be the Messiah, but because he didn't sing upon being saved from the powers of Sancheriv, he was not meritorious to be the Messiah. And so it is the case that we sing on a daily basis this song. We sing other things on a daily basis. At the end of the prayer services, we say an additional prayer. It's a prayer for the day. It's based on the idea that it was a song that was sung by the Levites in the temple. We have the famous book, the Song of Songs. We have other places in the 5 books of Moses where there are songs sung by the people. Other places in the book of Judges, in the book of Samuel, songs that are sung. And of course, famously, the book of all peoples, the book of Psalms, is replete with songs that belong in the prayers of multiple faiths and in the words of multiple and many varied leaders throughout the world. People quoting from Scripture, quoting from the Psalms all the time. And so song is an essential part of who we are and what we do. And it's not just in the human world. We know, of course, that birds sing as well. Birds don't sing for us to notice and pay attention. They sing because they sing. They're singing, perhaps, maybe it is to control territory or to establish control or power in a certain region. It could also be because they're simply trying to attract mates as well. But birds don't sing for us to hear. And so what I'm looking for today in really coaching with the Bible isn't so much some sort of a method to singing, because I think a lot of us maybe think we shouldn't sing because we don't sing particularly well. But first of all, one should appreciate that from the psychological standpoints, there are many reasons why people should sing regardless of how well they sing. They should sing out loud. They can sing with words, they can sing with tune. We know that as well. There are many songs that we have in our tradition that have no words. They're just tunes. The Hasidic community is rather well known in the Jewish community for having many tunes that have no words. There's an idea that they're beyond words, that the tune itself is the core, the heart, the soul of it. It's beyond words. But we know them, we sing them, we can sing them 100 times, 1,000 times. If you're in attendance at some of those locations, they will sing that same tune for hours with no respite, no diminishment of energy or power, only an increasing sort of force that's coming from that song. But the reality of it is, with respect to singing, that singing promotes personal growth, and there's a therapeutic benefit, that it has the ability to reduce stress and anxiety, improving mood, improving happiness. It's a way for us to express ourselves. If we have the ability to write lyrics, to write words, to write music, we should. Not because we have to share it with anybody else, because for what it does for us. In many cases, it's an expression of the deepest sense of who we are. Our ability to put those words onto a page, onto paper, to inspire, if no one else but ourselves, to improve our own personal condition, isn't that worth it? But sometimes it is the case that it's people singing with a lot of people. I saw a great quote. Sometimes it's not the song that makes you emotional. It's the people and things that come to your mind when you hear it David Grohl, famous singer, has said that you can sing a song with 85,000 people in a stadium, and they're all singing it for different reasons and with different meanings. And the truth is, I saw a great quote from someone by the name of Emery Austin. She's a motivational speaker, that some days there won't be a song in your heart, but sing anyway. I remember years ago being on, I think it was the FDR, stuck in traffic, headed, I think, back up to school. And there was a guy in the car next to us who was rocking out to some tunes. I don't know what he was doing. He did not have a care in the world that anybody could see through the windows of his car, but he was letting loose in the singing and singing and singing and music and banging on the steering wheel as if it was his drum, the top of his lungs. Have you ever done that? I've done that. It's such a release. And it's true even if we don't quote unquote sing well. What does that even mean? The established judgment of someone who has a good voice is simply for people who are looking to become singers. It doesn't prohibit us or eliminate the ability for us to on occasion break out into song. I remember there's someone that I know who had a terrible voice. He really couldn't sing. But he loved to sit and sing. He loved a Friday night with his friends after a long week, sitting down, opening a book of, Sabbath songs and just belting them out as poorly as he did. But it was meaningful for him in many ways and on many levels. And so it is that on Coaching with the Bible for this week, that we have to appreciate the power of music and the power of singing and singing out loud for ourselves, the benefits it brings to us, what it does to our lives and to our days and to our world and to our being and to our souls. There's a great quote from Plato. Music gives a soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and life to everything. That we should spend more time singing. We should spend more time singing on the good days. And as Rose Kennedy is quoted as saying, birds sing after a storm, why shouldn't we? Singing on the bad days. It could be a sad song. It could be a happy song. It could be a song of gibberish and no meaning. But the lift and the light that it brings change your day, change your mood, can change your outlook, can change your life. And so, again, as I said earlier, while there is no structure to what it is that Coaching with the Bible is trying to bring this week and what I'm trying to share with you this week, I am going, though, to challenge you to do the following thing. On a week that was very difficult for the people of Israel, terrorist activity, people were killed in and around synagogues over the last weekend, is to find the ability, even in all that sadness, on this Sabbath of song, to sing. To sing poorly, to sing well. To sing a song you know, to sing a song you don't. To sing it out loud with other people, to sing it privately by yourself. To sing it in the shower and be a rock star and an opera diva in the shower, or to sing it at the table with your spouse and your children. Or to sing it in the car at the top of your lungs. I guarantee you'll feel better. And it's the same way that we talked a number of weeks ago about dancing with the dread and dancing with the difficulties. Let's also sing with the sadness and sing with the happiness. So that's Coaching with the Bible for this week. And to finish with a quote from one of the great singers of our time, Andrea Bocelli. Singing provides a true sense of lightheartedness. If I sing when I'm alone, I feel wonderful. It's freedom. Have a great weekend. That is Coaching with the Bible for this week. See you next week. Have a good one.